Good to go?
Good to go.
Alright, well, hi everybody. Welcome to my final presentation. Y'all probably know me, but my name is obviously Mason. That's crazy, right? And, well, again, welcome to my final presentation. Before I get into this presentation, I would like to thank Tyson and Jacob for being my evaluators, as well as, well,
Oh, you need Mel's?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get Mel's for free.
well, Mel's will be here in a second, and also my teacher for being not here, but for allowing me to have mentorship this semester. And well, also just thank you very much for coming in and being my evaluators. The first thing is going to be my website, which is going to be coming up here shortly. And this year, if you want to scan the QR code, you can. This will be basically, it's just like a short little journal showcasing what I've done over the mentorship, as well as just like a little bit about me. So if y'all like, I can scan it and go through whatever y'all like. It's not done, but it will be shortly. Alright. So this year is my mentor, Gannon, also known as Gavin. He is the lead youth pastor here at City Mark. I think he does a really great job at what he does. And he's also like what has inspired me to do this mentorship, as well as over the summer when I went to church camp. All like the guest pastors, not in Gannon, like really inspired me to try something different compared to what I did last semester, which was when I did automotive welding, which was really cool. But I love this mentorship, it was pretty great. Alright. And then my average meetings and responsibilities, there wasn't really much responsibilities that my teachers really gave me other than monthly log, which allowed me to only have to do like 3 hours a week for every month. And also like just other papers, like kind of like evaluations, as well as an interview with Gannon throughout the semester. What Gannon had me do was help plan out future events, as well as the Carry Cultures thing, and other, like just asking questions about like what he does, which is what I did in the interview, how the church works and everything, which was really cool, and I'll get to that more in a second. Yeah, that's pretty much that. Changes and frustrations is personally finding a final product was very difficult for me because I was very limited to what I could do compared to like Mazzy's thing, when she had a colonoscopy. There's like a couple things you could do. Mine, I was like, I struggled to find it, which mine is I'm giving my own sermon, which I'll give here shortly. And I wish I made a bigger difference, just because, I don't know, because like I'm a student here at the church. I'm not like, like a head person. Like, people see you, they're like, oh, they look up to you. So I was like, I wish I could do that. But what I did is on social media, I had, read scripture from my Bible and posted it. And a lot of people actually like slid up talking about it. And they came to the church. And some of them come weekly now. And some of them just come here and there. But it was really nice to see that, even if it was just a small portion, people still came, which was really nice. My favorite parts is like seeing how the church works, because my original thoughts was you're just writing sermons the entire time, like that was it. And I was very much off. I was very far off actually. With Gannon, he told me, it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have lots of meetings for budgeting, volunteering, reaching out to people, finding out where people need help, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I did not know that that's what happened in the church, and that writing sermons isn't that big of a part of it. As well as helping planning the events. The two events that I helped plan were the Happy Birthday CYC and our Halloween event, which actually turned out really good, and that's me right here, the John Farrell Hospital. I actually really enjoyed this event. It was a lot of fun. I think it was a lot better than last year. Benefits is this is helped me grow my relationship with Christ a whole lot. It has made me read my Bible a lot more, as well as helped me with my prayer, which is really fantastic. It has strengthened not only my friendships, but it has strengthened many things with family, friends in general, my personal relationship with God, and it's been really nice to know that, as well as also learning how the church works. That there was just super cool. I didn't realize any of that until like this mentorship, which really was super cool. As well as I've gotten better at ministering. Like I had said, I'm not really a very talkative person like this. I have stage fright. So with it, being able to, even if it was just like on the phone, I was able to use the sources that I have readily available to help spread the ministry, which if I don't go into ministry whenever I'm older, which I don't know, I like prefer like doing like blue collar stuff to me. I really enjoy it. but I can minister there. I can minister in person, still minister over the phone. So even if I don't do this as my future career, I can still minister to people, whatever. These here are some of the sources that I use, like just for personal knowledge for my final product, or just, I don't know that much sources. Obviously, was one of them, as well as this YouTube video, which was really, really silly. And then the Bible, that's pretty clear because I use scripture for my final product, which I'll get here shortly. A YouTube video that I found just randomly, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. It was just a pastor talking. And then the movie that I'll be referencing here in the final product. So my final product, which is nothing necessarily tangible, but I will be giving my final product here shortly, which is a sermon. And again, the challenges was finding the final product, which the sermon was so, yeah. Alright, so, let me get there. Alright, so before I get into it, this might sound similar to some of y'all because I had references off of one of Gannon's sermons that I thought was really good. And it was one of my favorite sermons that I've ever heard him give, which is called How to Survive a Horror Movie. And I thought it was super great. And here, well, as you can see, it's going to be in Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 11 and 20. And this will read, also our enemies said, before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them, and I will kill them and put an end to the work. When the Jews who lived near them came to told us 10 times over, whenever they turn, they will attack us. Therefore I stationed some of the people behind the lowest points of the wall, at the exposed places, posting them up by families with their swords, spears, and bows. After I looked things over, I stood up and said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your families, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. When our enemies heard that we were aware of their plot and that God had frustrated it, we all returned to the wall, each of our own work. From that day on, half of my men did the work, while the other half were equipped with spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers posted themselves behind all the people of Judah who were building the wall. Those who carried materials did their work with one hand and held a weapon in the other. And each of the builders wore his sword at the side as he worked. But the man who sounded the trumpet stayed with me. Then I said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, the work is extensive from each other all along the wall. Whenever you hear the sound of the trumpet, join us there. Our God will fight for us. And that might have sounded very confusing to some of y'all. It definitely did to me at first. So I'm going to try and make it make sense to y'all from what I best got from it, which is... It is saying that our enemies, whether it's literal people or attacks from the devil, where it could be spiritual or temptations or other people saying just, bad things to you. Satan, he just wants to take us down, right? And, Nehemiah, he's here saying oh, the Lord is here with you. And that's how he kind of prepares, praying for the Lord on what to do. And, rebuilding the wall is saying he will have your weapons, he'll have your weapons with you, he is your weapon, while you can rebuild the wall while Satan is trying to attack you, and you will come out victorious. Basically what I have got from that. And I will be giving y'all 3 steps on how to survive a horror movie here in a second, because whenever y'all watch a scary movie, right, and there's that really dumb character that just dies because they're just clueless, right? They just go in oh look, there's a hole in there with spikes, we should go jump in it because the killer's right here behind me, just gonna hide, and boom, you're dead, right? So in The Conjuring, right, there's many instances where this happens, and one that really stood out to me a lot is her name's Carolyn Parent, she's the mom the Parent family had moved into this house, right, and they didn't know anything about the house, but they moved in, and they've been noticing this weird things going on, and one night Carolyn had heard this smell and noises happening in the house, so she got up and just walked around, and the pictures on the wall, there's all just knocked out randomly, right? And she just went downstairs like, oh, let me go and look at it, right? Which is also very dumb. And then the cellar door just opened by itself, and she goes and explores it. Personally, if I saw that happen, I would just go and hide under a blanket because monsters can't see you, can't see you, right? See you showing. But she goes and looks and explores what's going on down there, and she ends up getting attacked by some sort of entity down there. But she doesn't make it out. But in other movies, the person would die, and she later on, I don't want to spoil the movie for y'all, but she gets possessed because she is the most vulnerable to the demons that are there. So she got attacked. But now I'll be giving y'all the 3 steps on how to survive a horror movie. Which step number 1 is going to be don't split up, right? And that sounds pretty simple, right? But when you're by yourself, it's very easy to get attacked, right? So you should be surrounding yourself with like-minded people. That just because it's more helpful, right? Having like-minded people that can help you fight your battles, right? And prayer, or even just being the person just to vent to, right? Just having that one person can make a huge difference, right? And being able to fall and falling into the ways that the devil's trying to attack you, whether it's depression, anxiety, whatever the temptation can be, like drugs, alcohol, whatever, right? You can be clouded by your judgment and not want to be surrounded with like-minded people and not tell anybody, right? And that's actually harming you more than just helping you. Because the devil, he's like a lion, right? He will attack the prey that is, by itself. If it is easiest target, when it's surrounded by like-minded people or just by a crowd, it'll have a harder time to attack them because it'll have protection, right? So, and it can be very hard to be vulnerable and open up to just anybody, right? I know personally that it's very hard to open up to people and give out your feelings and all that. But if you do, it'll make the devil much harder to reach you, and ultimately it will help you out. Step number 2 will be avoid strange noises. As humans, obviously, we are drawn to worldly things. It's just we are humans, our natural instincts, right? And that can be alcohol, drugs, relationships, pornography, whatever the case can be, right? And especially as young teens, as us, for the most part, it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier to, go to parties and there's devices that are obviously right there, which is not good. But the devil and God both talk to us in different ways. The devil, he will scream at you. It's like screaming is right in front of your face, which is like the worldly things, parties, anything like that. Parties, drugs, like I said previously. So which makes it so much easier to just fall into the temptation of getting into these things. Whereas God, it's like a whisper. He gives you signs, right? But because we want these worldly desires that we just see right over these warning signs, just looking right over and like, oh, where are the signs that when you've fallen into this trap that you're just like, how did I get here? Why didn't anything stop me? But the signs were in front of your face, but you were just so wanting into these worldly things and you just fell right into it. Or if you just wanted it so badly, the sign was right there and you straight up ignored it. As well as not even just like worldly things, maybe people, right? People can be harsh, people can be rude, especially in high school. People can say rude things about you, and just as much as it might seem like a joke to some people, that you can eventually start thinking to yourself and it will bring you down, right? Or even yourself saying like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Like you're obviously joking, but you can start to believe those things eventually if you say it enough. Which again is an attack from the devil because obviously God would never, make anything harmful like that. For instance, obviously social media, right, is a huge part of this generation, and Instagram and all that. And you want to go and look at these things like, oh, I wish, I had that truck, or this and that, or I wish I was pretty as Sally Joe, or all that, But you can't compare yourself to others because that's only the image that they want you to see. It's not the real thing. So we really shouldn't be comparing ourselves to these people over here whenever their lives aren't even as perfect, or those people who want your lives and they're just putting that front up there, seeing that they're all happy like that. And it's James 4:7, it says, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Basically, you know, if we resist the devil, he will flee from you, obviously, right? Which sounds really easy to do, but again, we live in this world, we live in these worldly things. It is so much harder to fight the temptations, right? But if you surround yourselves with other like-minded Christians who, you know, can keep you accountable, right, it makes these things so much easier to do, and it helps you keep your eyes on God, and to help you ignore what the devil is trying to get you to do or try and say to you. Which will lead me to my final step, step number 3, which is, if you want to survive a horror movie, don't be the savior, which that sounds a little confusing, but it's alright. Basically, we cannot fight our battles by ourselves, right? If the devil can take down 1/3 the angels by himself, what makes you think that he can't bring you down by himself when you're just one person, right? We need to let our pride down and be vulnerable enough to just, you know, whenever we need help, ask for it, right? Which again, is also very difficult to do, but, you know, if you have that one trusted person, that's all that really matters. Is really helpful. And something that was in Gannon's message that where I was from that really stuck out to me was that whenever you're bitten by a snake in a critical spot, you only have like minutes to live, right, or you're just gonna die. But unless you have anti-venom, but the key ingredient inside of that is lamb blood, which refers to Jesus, right? Which I thought was really cool. And the only way to survive the anti-venom, obviously, is with that. But at the same time, is that the lamb blood is also the same thing that bled on the cross for you. So you'll never see victory without the blood of the lamb, and it will ultimately help you, you know, survive and thrive in life, which is the end of my sermon. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. And then in conclusion, again, I would like to thank Gannon, who is in New York City, but thank you for letting him be my mentor for this mentorship. I thought it was really great. Thank you all for evaluating and listening to my presentation. Probably wasn't, you know, the best, but it's alright though. And also Ms. Edna for allowing me to have a mentor and just be able to do this, because I thought it was really cool. I would have never thought of having a mentorship unless it was for that class. And also thank y'all again for evaluating. And is there any questions?
So for the research that you did for your final product for your sermon,
Yeah.
did you look at any, like, say, translations of the verses that you used?
Yeah, I used the NIV, which is the New International Version.
Did you grow up in a church?
Kind of, yes and no. Whenever I was little, my grandma went to a church that was in the neighborhood, and I attended that for a little bit, and then I stopped going. And then I went to Edgewater, which is right up the street, there for a little bit, like in middle school. And then I was like, the youth leader, he like left and it wasn't the same, and then I found here, and it's like my home.
Okay.
Any other questions?